Priti Patel, the Home Secretary in the United Kingdom. You might recall just a few months ago, she tried giving journalists 14 years in prison if they published classified documents, which is, totally not authoritarian. Well, guess what? She has more surprises for us. So just recently, she declared Hamas a terrorist organization. The British government put them on the list just a few hours ago. Now, this isn't just for people who are members of Hamas. You can go to prison even if you, quote, express an opinion or belief that is supportive of Hamas, whatever that means. Now, frankly speaking, I don't think Patel prescribed Hamas a terrorist organization because Hamas constitutes a significant threat to the United Kingdom. I think she's doing it because Israel wants her to do it. You have to remember, Priti Patel was forced to resign from the British government just a few years ago because she was having secret meetings with the Israelis. She has a very close relationship with them, just like most politicians in the UK. 80% of Conservative MPs are in this parliamentary group called Conservative Friends of Israel. Now, until now, the United Kingdom has only outlawed the military wing of Hamas, but now the UK is banning the entire organization, including the political wing. The thing is, you're not just talking about some random group or organization, you're talking about a political party, about a government or part of a legislative body. You have to remember that Hamas has been in power in Gaza since 2007. Now, the Home Secretary says that this step will strengthen the case against anyone who waves a Hamas flag in the United Kingdom, an act that is bound to make Jewish people feel unsafe. What she really means is that it makes Israelis uncomfortable. Not every Jew is an Israeli, and the fact that she can't distinguish the two is ridiculous and disingenuous. Now, Hamas actually responded to Priti Patel in a memorandum. They said that, quote, Hamas has emphasized more than once that its struggle is not against the Jews or Judaism, but rather against the occupier of our land and those who carry out aggressions against our people. So by doing this, the British government is basically telling Palestinians, we don't care about your right to self-determination. You are not allowed to join this party or that organization in your own country. The right to self-determination. This is a fundamental human right. It's Chapter 1, Article 1 of the UN Charter. It's the first thing you see. Now, another thing mentioned in the memorandum is that the British government is violating all these UN resolutions that clearly say people have the right to resist colonialism. They have the right to armed struggle against someone who invades their land. Now, Priti Patel is probably going to call me a terrorist for agreeing with Hamas, but I'm not. I'm agreeing with the United Nations. The British government is essentially saying that armed struggle against colonialism, resisting a foreign invader who comes to your land, is terrorism. And at the same time, they give a carte blanche, they give a complete pass to the Israelis and their crimes. The Israeli occupation since 1948, which started with the Nakba, which forced the expulsion of Palestinians from their homes with ethnic cleansing and genocide, that's still continuing to this day. None of this should surprise you, though, if you know your history, because it is the United Kingdom that invaded Palestine, colonized it, and helped create the Israeli occupation with the Balfour Declaration. Now, at the same time, another thing Priti Patel is trying to do is make it easier to strip people of their British citizenship. She stuck this draconian law inside the Nationality and Borders Bill, which is making its way through Parliament at the moment. Basically, she can take away your citizenship without even telling you, if it isn't reasonably practicable to notify you. Again, with these abstract terms, with this vague language. Actually, she doesn't even have to tell you at all if it's in the interests of national security, which is basically the textbook excuse every government gives when they're just about to do some shady authoritarian nonsense. So far, they've only used this for terrorists and people who are guilty of very severe crimes, but that's how it always begins. Once they've set this precedent and people just acquiesce to this, then before you know it, the government is taking away citizenship from anyone they don't like. So while all of this is going on in the UK, at the same time in Australia has designated Hezbollah a terrorist organization. Again, Hezbollah is the most powerful political party in Lebanon. It has seats in the parliament and so on. Hezbollah also has a political and a military wing. But of course, some Western countries pretend that they can't differentiate the two, and they just proceed to ban the organization altogether. Now, the latest to do that is Australia. Hezbollah's armed wing was already on their terrorist list since 2003, but now they've designated Hezbollah in its entirety as a terrorist group. Karen Andrews, the Home Affairs Minister, said that Hezbollah, quote, continues to threaten terrorist attacks and provide support to terrorist organizations, and poses a real and credible threat to Australia. Oh yeah. You remember that time Hezbollah attacked Australia? No? Yeah, neither do I. See, this is the interesting thing here. This is part of a larger trend. Why are all these countries in the West banning organizations they have no connection to? What does Hezbollah have to do with Australia or the EU? What does Hamas have to do with the United Kingdom? Have they attacked the United Kingdom or Germany or whoever? No, because Lebanon and Palestine are on the other side of the planet. What's happening here is that Israel is going around lobbying Western countries to ban Hamas and Hezbollah as terrorist organizations, including the political wings. You know, anyone who stands up against Israeli occupation, they want to call them a terrorist or an anti-Semite. What does that teach you? It teaches you that in the West, the definition of what constitutes a terrorist organization is not necessarily whether you actually pose a credible threat, but whether Israel likes you or not.